Good morning and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to video one on our series on personal finance and budgets. Now, this is for my 8th grade students in my business leadership course. However, if you're watching this on YouTube, I think that you'll find that the information presented will be applicable to, well, anybody that needs some basic help. But I am going to be focusing here on my 8th grade students, so be aware of the context here. Now, the information that I'm delivering today is based off of Dave Ramsey's financial piece. And Dave Ramsey, not to be confused with the chef, that's Gordon Ramsay, okay? Dave is a financial guru who ran into some financial problems in his younger years and then started coming up with some ways to help people with their finances, okay? And he started off essentially going into the Lampo group, which basically provides financial solutions for the financially sound and those that need some financial help, all right? So if you find the information here worth noting, then I highly recommend checking out Dave Ramsey's materials, all right? Quick little plug there. I don't get paid for that, but hey, that's where the information comes from, all right? Now, as far as the context here, all right, the context here is not on how to spend money or not about banking principles and banking concepts. That's covered in my unit on personal banking and transactions, okay? So you want to check out that video series when it comes to spending money and how to spend the money and how to track the money, so on and so forth. So with that note, let's get this party started. Our big ideas from this unit. Now, this unit's divided up into 8 parts, so it's a little bit bigger than my normal units, all right? We're going to look at what is personal finance, okay? Remember that finance has to do with the money in the future, okay? What is a budget? Okay, we're going to look at the different forms of budget, okay? And how do individuals control how money is exchanged for goods and services? Control, not how do they exchange money, but how is it controlled? In other words, what can you do to make sure that you're spending the money in the right areas, okay? And then what good choices can be made about personal finances and budgets, and what are some options out in the real world? Because you're going to find out some things that you might not have thought about before, or you're going to be presented information from the world, and you're going to be like, well, I never thought of that before. Is there good things with that? Is there bad things from that? And maybe you can learn from certain situations and circumstances. With that in mind, let's go ahead and get this party started. Slide number 3 here, our essential questions. So tying this in with state standards for business leadership, okay, in the state of Florida, all right? What are current trends and issues in regards to personal finances and business finance? Again, this is business leadership, right? So we're going to be talking about our personal lives. And of course, if you're ever becoming an entrepreneur, you're asked to manage an area of a business or an entity or an organization, how do you control those finances? Again, finances have to do with the money available and use of money in the future, okay? And then accounting has to do with how you spent the money and tracking that, all that good stuff, right? What are your not me, but your, right? Spending and budget habits. That's an important thing to know. What are your trends, okay? And what can you do to plan for the future? Now, if I had to guess, a majority of 8th grade students in here are spenders. They like spending money. In fact, when you talk about businesses, they think businesses are only about transacting money, buying things, retail stores, and so on and so forth. And I've hoped that in this class, we've done a good job at establishing the idea that business is more than just buying things and purchasing and selling, okay? What controls in spending will help promote a positive work and personal environment? All right, you're going to find out that how you manage your money helps, I'll use the term calm, okay, or calm, conflicts in the workplace, all right? You don't want to be in a situation as an entrepreneur being like, well, do I pay my bills or do I pay my people, okay? Yeah, that's a bad spot to be in. And if you're not budgeting your money right, all right, you can find yourself in that situation. Or you don't want to be in a situation where like, do I pay my water bill or do I pay my electric bill or do I buy food? Right? You don't want to be in that situation. So how do you prevent that, right? And then what personal strategies will help manage spending conflicts? Okay? That's a big thing, spending conflicts, okay? You got to think, okay, what do we need? What do we want? What's more important? Okay? Those sort of things, all right? So essentially we're looking at what can you do for the future? How can you make yourself better for the future. All right, so we'll get into that. All right, so an overview. Here are our sections that we're going to look at in this series. We're going to look at an introduction. That's today's video, okay? We're going to look at the idea that saving is key. All right, we talked about savings account in my other unit, so you can look there, right? But saving is key, okay? That way you can, invest in other things too, right? Personalities and spending habits. What is your personality type when it comes to money, right? And how you are now may not be how you are in the future, okay? You're going to look at planning. In other words, putting together some form of action for the future. You got to have a plan, right? We're going to look at debt and how debt might not be a good thing, okay, depending on where you're coming from, all right? We're going to talk about looking for the deal, and it's okay to say no on certain situations. Now, I'm not saying negotiate the price at the cash register at Publix for eggs, okay? That's not what we're talking about, but there's ways that you can look for a good deal, and it's okay to look for a good deal, right? And then we're going to look at personal insurance and investments because there's other ways other than savings accounts that you can invest for your future. And then we're going to look at college because some of you are several years away from making your first steps in college. In fact, I would say that some of you all in my class will be as dual enrolled. This means you're taking regular courses in high school and college courses, all right? So we'll look at that and maybe how that might be a saving option for those individuals. All righty, so that's our overview. So let's get to the meat of our introduction. All right, so there are some basic, I'll call them misconceptions about money, okay? A lot of money misconceptions, all right? And when I say misconceptions, these are things that you might hear that I may not agree with, or you may agree with, or you might not agree with, okay? But these are misconceptions, okay? So a misconception means something that somebody thinks that might not be correct is that money is the root of all evil. Is it? All right, we're going to look at that. Money makes the world go round. I would argue that that's gravitational forces and physics, but hey, that's just me, okay? Only rich people and only rich can make investments. Is that true? Do you have to be rich in order to invest in something? Okay, and will making investments properly bring you closer to being rich? Interesting, right? Rich people are only rich because they squander their money, they're Scrooges, and they lack morals. They're crooks. That's how they got all that money, because they're crooks. They just steal. Is that the case? Okay. Now, on the other hand of the spectrum, some people say, and these are misconceptions, that, well, I can't afford to pay cash for a car. I can't afford to buy a house. I cannot afford to take a vacation. I got to work, right? Or start a business. That's what rich people do, right? I can't start a business. I can't afford that. Well, what will it take to make that happen? Okay. And we're going to talk about that. And can you do some of these without financing? In other words, without making payments and borrowing money? Is borrowing money the only option every time? All right. And I'm going to give you multiple perspectives on that. Okay. And it's all about, well, how you control and regulate your money. And we're going to talk about that. All right. So those are misconceptions. Okay. Misconceptions means that they might be something that you've heard. Okay. That many people might agree with. But I think when you really think about it and analyze it, there's ways that these ideas are probably wrong. Okay, probably wrong. Okay, now if you're going, Mr. C, you're wrong on this because money is the root of all evil. I hear it all the time. Or that's right, Mr. C. Money does make the world go round. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't agree with you. Well, that's fine. Hear me out. Let me present evidence on both sides. Okay, and hear this other side out because it might enlighten you a little bit. All right. So first things we got to figure out, money is not the root of evil, okay? Not the root of bad things, okay? You see, money itself is amoral, not immoral like the moral aptitude or like having a moral of having a good attitude or doing what is right. I'm talking amoral. Not amoral, that's the wrong word. That's the wrong word on the wrong syllable, Mr. C. Immoral, okay? That means that it does not have any morals. It can't. In order to have morals, you got to have a brain, and that brain has to have higher functioning to understand what morals are, okay? In other words, to have a sense of right or wrong. This doesn't know what's right, it's wrong, right? All it knows is that, if I give it to somebody, it's worth value because the money here is backed by the U.S. government for exchange. It holds its value. Currency is a mature form of exchange. In other words, this dollar represents, right, equal dollar or equal value somewhere else. Okay? So I want you to think of it like this. Having something that's immoral is like having a tool, like a hammer, okay, or a brick. A brick can be done, or you can do great things with a brick, right? You could build things. You can make things look pretty. You could put sidewalks in. You could build walls, right? You could put up structures with bricks, right? Hammers are good things, right? You can frame. You could hang things. I could hang a picture right on a wall by driving a nail into it. Or I could pry something apart with a claw hammer. Or I could use a body hammer for body metal, right? And hammer in something to bring the dent out of something to make it look pretty, right? Or I could form something into shape, right? So do people think, well, that guy has a whole bunch of bricks. They must be evil. No, not at all. That guy has a whole bunch of hammers. That guy must be bad. Not at all, okay? You see, here's the thing, all right? You could do bad things with the bricks, right? I'm not going to go into details. Use your imagination. You could do bad things with a brick. You could do bad things with a hammer. You can go and destroy something that doesn't need to be destroyed, right? Yeah, okay? So it doesn't matter what the item is. It's how it's used. It's the person behind it, okay? I could use this for good. I could use this for bad. I could use this for self-interest. I could use this for somebody else. I control this, right? I control the responsibility of this guy, all right? Nobody else, all right? I control what this is used for, okay? Is Mr. C a good person? I like to think so. Am I a bad person? I hope not, okay? So does this make me a good person or bad person? Not at all. It's what I choose to do with it, right? You see, here's the thing. People can be greedy, right? And it doesn't matter if you're rich or you're poor. People can be greedy. They can want, right? And they can be so greedy that they put money ahead of a sense of right or wrong. You see, rich people and poor people can be kind, nice, and honest. It's the person, not the money. All right? So let's rephrase the idea, turn that around, and let's put the love of money is the root of evil. Okay? In other words, people who put money in front of doing what is right and wrong, that causes bad things. Okay? So if you have a strong moral sense as a person, okay, you're controlling that. Okay? So money can be likened to a brick. Just use your resources accordingly. Money can be likened to a hammer. Just use your resources and use your best judgment. All right? Again, money is a tool to help promote exchange. It is not good or bad because it has no brain. Okay? Pretty simple. All right? All righty. So, that was easy. Mr. C, is that it for this lesson? I mean, you're only 13 minutes in and we're already done at the end. Yeah. All right. So, here we go. You got a couple of questions here. All right? I'm going to ask you here, for those who are in my classroom and for those participating in my, digital classroom, if you are, right, to define a moral, okay? You're also going to answer true or false. And I guess if you're paying attention there, that should be easy, right? And then don't forget the other true or false. Now, there's a Y in there, so that means you can't only let me rephrase that. Don't just circle yes or no or identify yes or no. That Y is important. Tell me why you put that answer. And don't just put, because Mr. C said so, okay? You're better than that, all right? So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and conclude this lesson, and then we're going to go ahead and jump to lesson number 2.